inside and dry for at least another 30 minutes, so enjoy.
That is right. And we've got so many things to talk about, so many films. If you guys want to ask a question to Corey, just line up at the mics there and just feel free to adjust them.
Make it brief.
That's right. I want to talk about...
It's late, you know, it's late.
It's become a Christmas staple in our house, Gremlins. It is a Christmas movie. My daughter loves it. She's 5. I'm like, aren't you scared of them? She's like, no, it's hilarious. But that was one of your first early roles. What do you remember about working on that Joe Dante movie?
I was terrified. I was terrified by
puppets, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really terrified when I was making it, but I was terrified after when I watched it in the theaters. I was like, damn. I don't remember them being scary because they were just little green phone pieces, but now they're actually scary.
It's pretty effective.
Yeah, Joe Dante is a brilliant director, that's why. Brilliant director.
And you worked with him again in The Burbs, too.
I worked with Joe 3 times. 3 times.
What's the other film he did with you?
Well, we did Gremlins first, and that was an amazing experience. And then, many years later, he hired me for a little movie called The Burbs. And when we did The Burbs together, I was kind of an asshole. So I kind of blew it, and he wasn't too thrilled about it. And I felt bad because it disappointed him, because I was going through a tough time in my life at that point. And it was just right before I was kind of turned it all around and got myself together. But I was kind of right at that apex in life where I was about to go off the edge. And he knew I was about to go off the edge, and he was trying to, him and Carrie Fisher, ironically, were trying to save me and protect me during that film, and I was like, guys, I'm fine, but, and then after that, we didn't talk, and I saw him do interviews where he was like, yeah, I used to be a big fan of Corey's, but we did The Burbs together, and basically I was terrified to come into work every day because I didn't know what he was going to come up with next. And I was like, oh man, I felt terrible that he felt that way. So after I got my life together and, matured and grew up and all that fun stuff, one day he called me up and he said, I'm doing this movie called Splatter. And it's not a movie, it's a mini-series, but it's a streaming series for this new platform called Netflix. And it's gonna be me and Roger Corman, who I had also worked with twice. And, they had also worked together twice because they did Piranha and, boy, what was the other one? I think
not Matinee, was it? No.
Maybe. I don't know,
Foreman is a legend.
I know they did 2 movies together in his early career, in Joe's early career. So anyway, so it was the 2 Corman films, the 2 Dante films, and then all 3 of us working together for the first time. And what a novel idea would be if we could do a choose-your-own-adventure type streaming live thing on Netflix where we would change the ending of each episode based on viewers' votes. Oh wow, what a concept. So, basically that's what happened. We did this little miniseries, and that was back in 2010. And so we reunited, and it felt so good. And Joe and I rekindled our relationship, and it was love, We were in love together, I swear.
That's awesome.
It was really nice.
Good to hear that you reunited with him.
Yeah, it's very nice. And then he's actually gonna be coming to the premiere of my documentary. He was one of the first to RSVP, along with Richard Donner, so I'm very excited to have both of them attending.
Of course, Richard Donner, of course, from Goonies.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Let's take a question over here.
And Lost Boys.
Yes.
And Maverick. And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I've done a few gigs with Richard.
Yeah, Joel Schumacher
No,
with
he didn't
Lost
do
Boys.
Ninja Turtles. I'm just joking about that. He actually did do Tales from the Crypt, though.
So many great roles. Let's take a
Tales
question
from
here.
the Crypt.
Hey there, thanks for coming. Just a quick thing.
Howdy.
Hello. Donatello or Tommy?
Oh, wow. Definitely Tommy, man. I love rock operas. Woo! The Who, baby! No, I'm just joking. I'm still Tommy, though. Yeah. Definitely a better character. Plus, I looked a little green in the turtle outfit.
I didn't realize that until recently that you were actually the voice of Donatello. That's why I remember seeing that movie in the theaters.
It's true.
Also, speaking of green, Edgar Frog, what a great role in The Lost Boys. I mean, that movie from Joel Schumacher, it's got such an amazing identity, and it was really the start of that like teen, edgy, romantic vampire kind of genre, you know? So what was it like to be a part of that iconic
It was the world's first ever rock and roll vampire movie.
Yes.
Yeah. And it kicked ass.
And your role in it was so cool. You were just this little badass. Well, you and because you were the brothers, right?
Jameson, the great Jameson Newlander, of course. Yes. Lucky enough to have the great Jameson Newlander with us in that film. And of course, that was where me and Mr. Haim met. I met this little Canuck who came from Toronto and stole our hearts away. But anyway, that was the beginning of a very long and dear friendship.
Okay, let's get to another question here.
Thanks, Curry. Just wondering, since the Cooney, I really enjoyed that movie back when I was like much younger, so 20. My name is Ivan. Just wondering, do you have any work with Corey Hart? Even though your name maybe just coincidence. Corey Hart, last year he was launching 26 years after the tour. Will you do a video music?
Any Corey Hart collaboration?
Wait, so you think because his name's Corey and my name's Corey, we just gotta work together?
The Corys unite.
Well, we couldn't do it the first time, so let's try another Corey out. See if that works.
Uncle Corey.
So no plans.
And what's your new project?
It's cute though, it's cute. The new project is the documentary to honor the great Mr. Haim. Thank you. I mean, I'm sad that it's a bittersweet thing. I wish I didn't have to do it at all. But now that it's done. And that's the great news. The great news is after a decade, really, since I made him the promise that I would get his story told, I tried several times. We put it all in a book, you know, and then they made me change the names. And then I did it all in this movie called The Tale of Two Corys, which I executive produced. And then after we wrote the script, they went and changed it all and like changed the names and made it look like a completely different thing than it really was. And I just got so frustrated, and then the whole Me Too movement happened, and it was like, I was trying to ignore it, really. I was on tour, I was doing great with my band, we were selling out all over the country, and then all of a sudden it was like, come on, the Me Too movement happened, now it's your turn. And I'm like, no, it's not, I'm busy, I got my thing, I already did what I had to do. God was like, no, you didn't. You said you were gonna say everything, and you didn't say everything, and I'm like, but I tried. Trying is not an option. That's what I learned. Trying is not an option. So I had no choice but to do what I had to do, which was get the entire truth told. So the entire truth is being told, and you get to see it, which is great.
And it's called My Truth appropriately.
My Truth, The Rape of Two Corys, and it premieres on March 9th. It's only going to be airing one time. One time. And there's a reason for that. Because I made this little independent documentary and I thought it was going to be like really cheap and easy to make. I'm like, I'll spend like $100,000 on it. You know, I can scrape that together. I'll be fine. And then it was like 150, and it was like 250. And then it was 300,000. I was like, okay, 300,000 is perfect. I can do it. I had to do a TV show I didn't want to do. I had to do a reality show. You know, I had to make sacrifices, but I did it for the greater good, and I got it done. And then all of a sudden we got hit at the very, very, very end, right when I was like, no more roadblocks, I'm done. Now I got to get it insured. How much to get it insured? $1.3 million. What? Yeah, that's what happened. So I basically thought I was defeated. I thought that was it. You know, it took me 3 years to come up with 300 grand. How the hell am I going to come up with 1.3 million overnight? And then like a miracle happened. So when that miracle happened, I basically got the resources to be able to figure out a way, because I couldn't distribute it a normal way because it was too controversial and nobody wanted to take the risk of being the first to do it. So they were all like, well, you go do it somewhere else first and then come back to us. And we're like, oh, thanks for the support. Yeah, great. You're a big studio, you're a big network, you can take the risk. I'm a little guy. But that said, we found a way, and you know what that way is? Because we were able to buy enormous amounts of bandwidth, okay? And if you can buy enormous amounts of bandwidth, you can be your own distributor. Because you can live stream anything you want if you can afford the bandwidth for everybody to see it. So based on however many people you're planning for is how many people you charge for and all that. So we got charged a whole lot of money on top of the other money that we already had to spend, and that was to just stream it one time. Just to stream it one time.
So what platform will people be able to watch
It's my platform.
Right.
It's literally my platform. So what happens is you go to this website called mytruthdoc.com. Write it down if you need to. mytruthdoc.com. And the website will be opening 1 week from today. 1 week from today, tickets go on sale. And they're going to be on sale the whole time for 3 weeks. And then at the end of that 3 weeks, one global live pay-per-view event where everybody in the world, whoever's interested, of course, will be watching it at the same time. So it's literally going to be like a boxing match or a concert where it's like when it happens, it's happening all over the world. And if we can sell more than 100,000 tickets, that would be the cutoff. If I could sell 100,000 tickets, then I could afford to buy another session of bandwidth, and then I could run it a second time. But right now, all I can afford is the one time. So unless something changes, I'll let you know.
Awesome. Thank you for the website, and people can check that out.
Exhausting.
All right, let's take another question.
Hi, I've been a fan since, I don't know, back in the 80s with the Teen Beat pictures on my wall, right? How many of you ladies have had those on your wall? My question is, between Stand By Me, Goonies, and The Lost Boys, working in teams of camaraderie, what was it like to work with big groups, and did you really enjoy that, and what was your favorite group to work with?
Well, I always liked the old lady group. They were always fun. Like to go for snicker games, dodgeball. No, I'm just joking. I would say Goonies. Goonies was definitely the most fun.
It's a special movie.
Yeah, how could you not have fun? It's 7 kids, pretty much all around the same age.
And that spirit of adventure and the looking for the treasure, and it's just got those great 80s beats in it.
We were really riding around on bicycles all the time, you know what I mean? Like whenever the cameras weren't rolling, we would grab the bikes and we'd take off, So it was just that fun of, being with your friends and being on a never-ending adventure for 6 months.
Shooting in
the
Oregon.
movie, it only lasts for an hour and a half, but in real life, it was there for 6 months.
All right, let's take another question. Go ahead.
Just wondering, what was your favorite movie to film, to be in?
Yeah, as far as the part of filming it was definitely the Goonies. So,
Because there's a lot of location shooting for that too, right? Really,
well, we did
a lot of areas in Oregon.
3 months in Astoria, Oregon, and then 3 months on sound stages in LA. And then
So that would have been the interior with the ship and inside with all the water.
all of
was
that,
all
yeah.
massive set.
That was a massive set, exactly. And, it was on that set that we got to meet lots of exciting people. I remember Harrison Ford came down to the set and Spielberg was giving him a tour through the caves and stuff, and I was like, oh my God, it's Indiana Jones and Short Round. They're both here together with Steven Spielberg. I literally just transported myself into Indiana Jones. That's so cool.
Awesome.
And then, Michael Jackson, because he was also friends with Steven, and Pee Wee Herman, who was filming his movie right across the lot from us. So we would go over and watch him all the time, and Cyndi Lauper and Dan Aykroyd, just everybody in the world and stuff.
One over here, and then you get the last word. Supergirl. Go ahead.
Okay, hi. This is for my friend Emily, who's a massive fan, but she couldn't make it because
she's not that massive of a fan.
So she would like to know either what role has impacted you the most, or if you have any cool behind-the-scenes stories from filming Lost Boys.
What role has affected me the most? Well, it would have to be Lost Boys. Call it on the head, because it was on the shoot of Lost Boys that I met Mr. Haim, right? So from the moment that I met Corey, my life was changed forever. Because not only did I meet my best friend and my brother, but I also met a guy who is going to give me this weight of information that I did not really want to hear or need to hear or want to be a part of or whatever, but like once he told me what he told me, it altered the course of my life forever, because now I was going to be a target too. Now I had to live my life in silence and in fear and all this stuff because I had this information. And then ironically it started happening to me too. So then I got my Me Too moment, I guess, when I was 15, you know? So that really altered everything and changed everything. Plus, I made a lot of lifelong friends as well, not just Corey, but like Jameson Newlander and I are still very good friends. And, you know, Brooke and I were very close for many years, and Billy Worth, and, you know, just like so many cool people on that set.
Okay, awesome. And final question, go ahead.
I went on Disney Cruise and had the privilege of going to the Goonies set. And my question is, Corey,
Wait, Goonies, hold on, slow down. You went on a Disney cruise and got tour of the Goonies set?
Yep.
Okay, where was that tour exactly?
In Seattle.
Oh,
In Oregon.
well, that's interesting. So you went to Astoria?
Yes.
I see, very good,
We got
very
to
good.
see the outside of the Goonies house.
Oh, very nice, very
Jail.
nice. Oh, very exciting.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's your question for Corey?
What's your favorite memory of the Goonies and the Gremlins?
Favorite memory of the Goonies? You know, I have to say it was all pretty much awesome. It was just one awesome big adventure. As far as Gremlins, I guess probably the day that I stole one of the Mogwai's fur, because it was like there would be like fur laying all around, you know, because they'd be like cutting it and fixing it and tailoring and editing, whatever they were doing. So you
Trimmings
know,
of the Mogwai.
yeah. So I took some trimmings.
It's a good souvenir.
And I figured, I want to take this to school, and I'm going to show all the kids at school and explain to them what this magical creature that they're going to meet over the summer is going to be. And nobody believed me. They thought I was like this crazy kid who just lied. They're like, you ain't in no movie. You ain't in no Steven Spielberg movie. And I was like, no, I really am. They're like, no, you're not. I'm like, no, you're not. Okay.
Yeah. Box office success later.
Yeah, well, yeah, $130 million later. Oh, really? I think I was.
Well, Corey, we're out of time. So pleased to meet you, and thank you so much for stopping by and being so
you.
candid. Give it up for Corey!
Hey guys, you know
Feldman!
what? I'm going back to the table for a few minutes. So if anybody wants pictures or autographs, I'm gonna go over there and help out whoever wants help for the next like half an hour or whatever. So even though it's supposed to be closed, I'm staying a little extra late. So meet me on over there and I'll get you taken care of, all right?
All right, one more time for Corey Feldman!